Welcome to AudioCert, where the official study guides are brought to life. Have you ever, sent a text message, maybe bought something online, or logged into your bank account and just, trusted that your information was safe, that it was private, and only seen by whoever it was meant for?
Right. It's something we pretty much take for granted, isn't it?
Totally. It's this fundamental expectation we have now, living digitally. But the mechanics behind that trust, it's this incredibly complex mix of math, clever ideas, and, constant change.
Absolutely. It's really quite something when you look under the hood.
So that's what we're doing today. We're taking a deep dive into Module 20 of the EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker v13 curriculum. And that's all about cryptography.
Huh?
And this isn't just, secret codes from spy movies, though that's kind of the fun origin.
Right. It's a bit more involved than that.
It really is the invisible but absolutely vital backbone of almost all modern digital security. It's the silent guardian, protecting everything from our personal chats to global finance.
And our mission today really is to demystify this powerful art of secret writing. We want to cut through the jargon, look at how information gets hidden, how it's protected, authenticated, basically give you a solid understanding of this critical area.
Like a shortcut to getting it without needing a PhD in math.
Exactly. We want you walking away feeling like you really get what's keeping your digital life secure, appreciating the magic behind it all.
Definitely. So what exactly are we digging into? We'll start with the basics. What is cryptography? Why is it so crucial?
The fundamentals.
Then we'll explore the two main types of encryption, symmetric and asymmetric, how they work, their, pros and cons, the challenges.
The two big pillars, yeah.
And then we'll get into the specific algorithms, the famous ones that power these systems.
Like AES, RSA, the names you hear thrown around.
Exactly. We'll also look at how we verify digital identities, things like PKI, public key infrastructure, and digital signatures.
Trust mechanisms, very important.
And yes, we'll even explore the other side, how attackers try to break these systems.
The dark side, cryptanalysis.
Right. Including the sort of looming threats from things like quantum computing and what that means for staying secure down the road. It's going to be quite a journey.
Should be fascinating. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's really lay the groundwork here. The word itself, cryptography. It comes from Greek, right?
Yeah.
Cryptos meaning hidden or secret.
And graphia meaning writing, so literally secret writing.
Exactly. But it's, it's way more than just hiding text.
Yeah.
At its heart, cryptography is the practice of taking readable info, we call that plain text.
Yeah, normal text.
And transforming it into something unreadable, scrambled, that's ciphertext.
Right, gobbledygook, essentially, unless you know the secret.
And that transformation isn't just random shuffling. It's a precise process, an algorithm, that uses a specific piece of information, the key, to do the encrypting.
The key is crucial. Without that specific key, the ciphertext just stays scrambled. It's noise.
It's like having a secret language, but only those with the right dictionary, the key, can actually translate it back.
A very good analogy. And this act of secret writing, it's just unbelievably vital in our modern world. I mean, think about it.
Everything uses it, doesn't it?
Pretty much everything's sensitive. Your emails, your chat messages, online shopping, banking transactions.
Personal data, company secrets.
E-commerce, yeah.
Oh.
All of it relies on cryptography to protect confidential data. Every single time you log into your bank or send a secure email, or even just see that little padlock in HTTPS in your browser.
That's for secure.
That's cryptography working silently in the background. It's the guardian, protecting your privacy, making sure the data isn't tampered with. Honestly, without it, our interconnected world would just fall apart. Secure communication, online business, it would be chaos.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Just how much of our digital life completely depends on this secret writing humming away quietly.
It's pervasive, truly.
Okay, but the moment you create a lock, someone starts figuring out how to pick it, right?
Always. That's the other side of the coin.
Which brings us to the constant challenge, cryptanalysis.
The code breakers.
Exactly. It's the whole field of studying ciphers, ciphertext, the systems themselves, trying to find weaknesses, trying to get that plain text back without having the key.
Or maybe even figuring out the key itself.
Right. And while modern encryption is designed to be, virtually unbreakable with today's computers.
Emphasis on virtually and today's.
Precisely. Cryptanalysis is that continuous effort by researchers, ethical hackers, and, adversaries to push the boundaries, find those vulnerabilities.
It's an ongoing arms race, essentially.
Think about history. like World War II, breaking enemy codes like the Enigma machine.
Oh yeah, Bletchley Park. Huge story.
Wasn't just helpful, it was decisive, right? They didn't just find the key. The cryptanalysts had to figure out the machine's settings, deduce the key through patterns, math, clever tricks.
Incredible ingenuity and persistence. They were looking for tiny flaws, statistical biases, anything they could exploit.
And that same cat and mouse game between code makers and code breakers, it's still happening today, just with, much faster computers and maybe even higher stakes online.
They're definitely higher stakes in many ways.
So when we talk encryption, fundamentally it rests on two main pillars, symmetric and asymmetric. Getting the difference here is, well, key.
Absolutely fundamental.
Let's start with symmetric. The idea here is pretty straightforward, right? You use the same secret key for both jobs, locking up the plain text into ciphertext.
And unlocking the ciphertext back into plain text.
It's like you and a friend having a shared lockbox, and you both have the exact same key. Only you two can open it. Simple, direct.
And that simplicity gives it some real advantages, especially for encrypting lots of data quickly.
Speed is a big one.
Speed is a huge advantage, yes. But also, think about security in a group. If you use different symmetric keys for different pairs of people, then if one key gets compromised,
it only affects that one conversation, not everyone else.
Exactly. It prevents widespread compromise. Plus, the key itself isn't usually sent with the data. So if someone just intercepts the encrypted message, it's useless without the separate key.
Okay, that makes sense. Fast, contained breaches if a key is lost. But what's the catch? There's always a catch.
Ah, yes. The catch. And it's a big one. This is where it gets really interesting with symmetric encryption. The key exchange problem.
Right. How do you share that secret key securely in the first place? Especially over something like the internet, which is inherently not secure.
Precisely. If I want to send you a secret message using a shared key, how do I get that key to you without someone else grabbing it during the transfer?
It's like needing a secret message to send the secret key for your secret messages.
It's the classic bootstrap problem. You need a secure channel to share the key, but you need the key to make the channel secure.
Okay, hurdle one. What else?
Key management. Imagine you need to talk securely to, say, 100 different people.
Ugh. You need a unique secret key for every single person.
Pretty much. A unique key for every pair. Now scale that up to thousands or millions of users online. Managing all those keys, storing them, distributing them, changing them, revoking them, it becomes an absolute nightmare.
Just impossible to manage securely at scale.
Very, very difficult. Which leads us perfectly to the other pillar.
Asymmetric encryption, also called public key cryptography.
Exactly. And this is designed specifically to solve those key exchange and management problems. Instead of one shared key, asymmetric uses a pair of mathematically linked keys.
A public key and a private key.
Correct. The public key, like the name says, can be shared with anyone. It's public knowledge. Its job is to encrypt messages.
Okay, so I can give my public key to everyone.
Yep. But the private key, that one you keep absolutely secret, only you have it. Its job is to decrypt messages that were locked with your public key.
Ah, okay. So the analogy, like a mailbox.
Perfect analogy. Anyone can drop a letter encrypted message in your public mail slot, but only you with your private key can open the box and read the letters, decrypt the message.
Got it. So if I want to send you a secure message,
You'd find my public key maybe from a directory, or I'd send it to you openly. You use my public key to encrypt your message.
then I send the scrambled message over the internet.
Right. And when I receive it, I use my private key, the one only I have, to decrypt it and read your original message.
And crucially, no one else, even if they intercepted the message, can read it because they don't have your private key.
That's the core principle. The private key is never shared, never transmitted. That solves the key exchange problem beautifully.
So what does this really mean for security then? What are the big wins?
Huge advantages. Convenience in key distribution is massive. No need for secret channels to share keys. Just distribute the public one.
Which gives enhanced security because the private key stays put.
Precisely. And critically, this is the foundation for digital signatures. We'll get more into that. But it provides non-repudiation proof someone sent something.
Okay, sounds great. But again,
Yeah.
downsides. Is it slower?
Yes, that's the main one. It's slower. The math involved is much more complex than symmetric encryption, so it takes more processing power.
Not ideal for encrypting, like, huge video files then?
Generally not on its own, no. And the other big risk, private key compromise. If someone does manage to steal your private key.
Then everything ever encrypted with your public key is now readable by them. Ouch.
Widespread compromise, yes.
Yeah.
Past and future messages. It's critical to protect that private key. And one more caveat. On its own, just getting a message encrypted with a public key doesn't prove who sent it.
Because anyone could have used the public key.
Exactly. It provides confidentiality, but not necessarily authentication or integrity unless you add digital signatures into the mix.
Got it. So they often work together, symmetric and asymmetric.
Very often. Use asymmetric to securely exchange a temporary symmetric key, then use the fast symmetric key for the bulk data. Best of both worlds.
Smart. Okay, what about this key escrow thing? Sounds a bit controversial.
It can be, yes. Key escrow is basically an arrangement where you store copies of essential cryptographic keys, maybe private keys, with a trusted third party.
Who's the third party?
Often it's proposed for government agencies. The idea is they could get access to keys, say, with a warrant for law enforcement or national security investigations.
So they can decrypt things if legally required.
That's the rationale. But the big concern is privacy and security. You're creating this central repository of keys. If that third party is compromised, or if the access mechanism is abused, then potentially everyone's keys could be exposed, a single point of massive failure.
Exactly. Protecting the keys that protect other keys is a really tricky business. It concentrates risk, which many in the security community are very wary of.
All right, let's get into the actual algorithms, the famous names behind these symmetric and asymmetric concepts, starting with symmetric.
Okay. The historical giant here is DES data encryption standard, developed back in the 70s.
Old school.
Very. It's a block cipher, works on 64-bit blocks of data, but uses a key that's only 56 bits long. 56 bits? That sounds kind of small now.
It is now, yeah. Back then, it was decent, the standard for U.S. government stuff. But 56 bits eventually became vulnerable to brute force attacks, just trying every possible key.
So you don't see DES much anymore?
Mostly just in legacy systems. To fix the key size issue, they came up with triple DES, or 3DS.
So just do DES 3 times?
Essentially, yes, but in a specific way. Encrypt with key 1, decrypt with key 2, then encrypt again with key 3. Using 3 different keys gives you effectively 168-bit security.
Much stronger.
Much stronger. Still used quite a bit in finance payment systems. It's slower than modern options, but proven. Though you have to be careful using the same key 3 times, just gets you back to regular DES.
Right, need different keys. Okay, but the real standard today is
AES Advanced Encryption Standard. This is the one.
Here's where it gets really interesting. AES is everywhere now.
Absolutely. It's a block cipher, works on 128-bit blocks, but supports key sizes of 128, 192, or 256 bits. Much more robust.
And it's not just bigger keys, right? It works differently inside.
Totally different structure than DES. The algorithm chosen for AES was called Rindale. It uses multiple rounds of specific transformations. Subbytes, shift rows, mixed columns, add round key.
Okay, don't need the deep math, but what do those do, conceptually?
Think of it like intense shuffling and mixing. Subbytes substitutes bytes based on a table to confuse things. Shift rows shifts rows of data around. Mixed columns mixes up the data within columns. Add round key mixes in parts of the secret key at each stage.
So every little change gets spread out and scrambled massively.
Exactly. It provides excellent diffusion and confusion, making it incredibly hard to reverse engineer or find patterns. That's why it's the global standard for secure comms, file encryption, government use, you name it.
Got it. AES is the king of symmetric block ciphers. What about other types, like stream ciphers?
Right. Stream ciphers work differently, encrypting data bit by bit or byte by byte, not in blocks. The most famous one, though now often avoided, is RC4.
RC4, I've heard of that with Wi-Fi, right? Like WEP.
Yep. That's where it got a lot of use and also some infamy. RC4 uses a variable key size from 40 up to 2048 bits. It generates a stream of pseudo-random bytes called a key stream.
And you just XOR that with the plain text?
Exactly. XOR in the key stream with the plain text gives you ciphertext. XOR it again with the same key stream, you get the plain text back. It's very fast in software.
So good for streaming data, web traffic, like old HTTPS versions, Wi-Fi, but you said infamy.
Yeah, vulnerabilities were found, especially in how the initialization vector was used in protocols like WEP. It led to ways attackers could figure out the key. So RC4 isn't recommended for new applications anymore.
Okay. Any other symmetric ones worth mentioning?
Sure. Blowfish is another block cipher, known for being fast, often used in password tools. Serpent was an AES finalist. Super secure, but a bit slower than Rindale AES.
Camellia.
Yeah, Camellia is interesting. Similar strength to AES used in TLS, transport layer security. Apparently very resistant to brute force, even with 128-bit keys.
And CAST-128.
That one's common in PGP. Pretty good privacy. And GPG, GNU Privacy Guard. good, solid algorithm.
And then there are others like Twofish, IDEA, CHOCH20. Lots of options.
A whole zoo of them, each with strengths and weaknesses for different scenarios, but AES is definitely the reigning champ for general use.
Okay, let's switch to the asymmetric side, the big algorithms there.
Right. The absolute giant, the one everyone knows, is RSA Rivis Schmier Adelman.
Named after the inventors.
Correct. RSA is pretty much the de facto standard for public key encryption and digital signatures. It's built into everything Windows, Mac OS browsers.
And its security comes from math.
Specifically, the difficulty of factoring large numbers. The core idea is it's easy to multiply two huge prime numbers together to get a result. That's part of your public key.
Okay.
But it's incredibly computationally hard to take that result and figure out what the original two prime numbers were if the number's big enough.
Like, takes centuries of computer time hard.
Pretty much, for keys of sufficient length. Your private key is derived from those original prime numbers. So without being able to factor the public number, attackers can't easily figure out your private key. That's the magic of RSA.
Clever. Okay, what else is asymmetric? You mentioned DSA.
Digital signature algorithm. As the name suggests, it's primarily designed for digital signatures, not general encryption like RSA can do.
So its job is proving authenticity and integrity.
Exactly. It creates a signature to verify who sent a message and that it hasn't been changed.
Then there's Alchemal.
Another public key system used for both encryption and signatures based on a different but related hard math problem, the discrete logarithm problem.
Okay, let's unpack Diffie-Hellman. This one sounds important for key exchange.
Oh, it's foundational. Diffie-Hellman is the protocol that lets two people, Alice and Bob, create a shared secret key over a completely public, insecure channel without ever sending the key itself.
Like magic, right. How does that work?
It's elegant. Okay, Alice and Bob publicly agree on two numbers, a large prime P and a generator G. Everyone knows these.
Okay, public numbers.
Then, Alice secretly picks a private number A. Bob secretly picks his own private number B.
Keep the secret.
Right. Now, Alice calculates G to the power of A, modulo P. Let's call that result A. Bob calculates G to the power of B, modulo P, call that B.
And they exchange these results, A and B, openly.
Yep, everyone sees A and B. But here's the trick. Alice takes Bob's public number B and raises it to the power of her secret A, mod P. Bob takes Alice's public A and raises it to the power of his secret B, mod P.
And they get the same number.
Miraculously, yes. Because of math rules, GBA mod P is the same as GAB mod P. They both arrive at the same shared secret, GAB mod P, which an eavesdropper who only saw G, P, A, and B can't easily compute because finding A from GAB mod P, the discrete log problem, is hard.
Wow, that's really clever, but you said it doesn't authenticate.
Right. Alice knows she shares a secret with someone, but she doesn't know for sure it's Bob. Someone could be in the middle doing this exchange with both of them.
The man-in-the-middle attack.
Exactly. So Diffie-Hellman needs to be combined with authentication, usually certificates like in TLS. But it's vital for forward secrecy, meaning even if the server's main private key is stolen later, past session keys created with Diffie-Hellman remain secure.
That's a huge benefit. Okay, last big one here. ECC, elliptic curve cryptography.
Ah, ECC. What's fascinating here is ECC gives you the same level of security as RSA, but with much, much smaller key sizes.
Smaller keys mean faster, less power needed.
Exactly. Think about an ECC key of maybe 256 bits, providing similar security to a 2048-bit or even 3072-bit RSA key.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Massive difference. It makes strong public key crypto practical for things like smartphones, smart cards, IoT devices, things that don't have huge amounts of processing power or battery life.
So ECC is kind of the modern, efficient choice for asymmetric crypto.
It's definitely gained huge traction for that reason. Faster, less resource intensive, but just as secure. It's based on the math of elliptic curves, which is complex, but very effective.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. Let's talk about another crucial piece of the crypto puzzle. One-way functions. Specifically, message digests or hashing.
Right. Hashing is fundamental for integrity.
So the basic idea is you take some input data, could be anything, a word, a file, whatever size.
Any arbitrary block of information, yeah.
And you run it through a hash function, and it spits out a fixed size string of bits, the hash value or message digest.
Like a unique fingerprint for the data.
Exactly. Like taking a whole book, no matter how long, and generating a short, unique fingerprint for that exact version of the book.
And the key properties here are what make it so useful for security.
Okay, like what?
Well, first, uniqueness, or technically collision resistance. it should be practically impossible to find two different inputs that produce the exact same hash output.
If you could, that would break things, right? Like swapping a good file for a bad one with the same hash.
Precisely. Second, sensitivity, sometimes called the avalanche effect, change just one single bit in the input.
And the output hash changes completely.
Radically different. About half the bits in the hash should flip, on average. This makes any modification instantly detectable.
So even changing a comma throws the whole hash off.
Completely. And third, it's one way. You can easily compute the hash from the input message.
But you can't go backwards. You can't figure out the original message just by looking at the hash.
Computationally infeasible, yeah.
Yeah.
Impossible for all practical purposes.
Which makes it great for things like storing passwords, right? You store the hash, not the actual password.
Exactly. When a user logs in, you hash the password they enter and compare it to the stored hash. You never need to store or know the original password.
So the main role of hashing in security is?
Primarily integrity, verifying that data hasn't been tampered with. You calculate the hash of a file, store it securely. Later, you recalculate the hash. If they match, the file is unchanged.
Like a digital seal.
A perfect way to put it. It's also crucial for digital signatures. Instead of signing a potentially huge document, you sign the much smaller hash of the document. Much faster, just as secure.
Makes sense. And it's used in other things too, like MSCs.
Message authentication codes, yes.
Yeah.
That combines a hash function with a shared secret key to provide both integrity and authenticity. Also used for deriving encryption keys from passphrases sometimes.
Okay, so what are the common hash functions we see? I know MD5 used to be big.
Message Digest 5, yeah. Produces a 128-bit hash. It was everywhere. File integrity checks, signatures, password storage. Fast and simple. But it's broken. It's not collision resistant. Researchers found ways to create two different files that produce the exact same MD5 hash.
So definitely don't use MD5 for security anymore.
Absolutely not for anything critical where collisions matter. It's okay for non-security uses like checksums maybe, but not for signatures or password hashing.
Okay, so what replaced it? SHA.
The secure hash algorithm family, yes.
Yeah.
Developed by the NSA, SHA-1 came first, 160-bit output. Better than MD5, but
Also broken.
also eventually found to be vulnerable to collision attacks, though harder than MD5.
Yeah.
So SHA-1 is also deprecated for most security uses now.
So we should be using SHA-2.
Yes. SHA-2 is the current workhorse family. It includes several variants with different output sizes. SHA-224, SHA-256, SHA-384, SHA-512.
And these are considered secure.
Yes. SHA-256 and higher are widely used, considered secure for things like digital signatures, TLS certificates, blockchain.
And there's even a SHA-3 now.
There is. It was developed through a public competition like AES. It uses a completely different internal structure called a sponge construction, making it potentially more resistant to future attacks that might target the SHA-2 structure.
So SHA-2 and SHA-3 are the way to go. Any others?
A few others like RIPE-BMD160, Whirlpool, Blake2, Blake3, they exist, but SHA-2 and SHA-3 are the most common standards you'll encounter.
Okay. What about this multi-layer hashing? Sounds like hashing a hash.
Kinda, yeah. Also called nested or recursive hashing. You take an input, hash it, then you take that hash output and use it as the input for another hash function, maybe a different one.
And you can repeat that.
You can. Hash of a hash of a hash. The idea is to make it even harder for attackers. It increases the computational work needed to find collisions or reverse the process.
So it adds extra layers of complexity and security.
Exactly. Tools like CyberChef let you play around with this, chaining different hash functions together. It's another way to strengthen integrity checks for really sensitive data.
All right, so we've covered the concepts, the algorithms. Let's look at how this stuff is actually used in the real world. How cryptography gets implemented.
Where does it show up?
Well, one area is hardware-based encryption. Instead of relying solely on software, you use dedicated hardware chips to do the heavy lifting of encryption and decryption.
Why do that? Is it faster?
It can be much faster, yeah. Offloading the intense calculations frees up your main computer processor. But more importantly, it's often more secure.
These hardware modules are designed to be tamper-resistant. They can store the encryption keys securely right on the chip in protected memory, making it much harder for malware or even physical attackers to steal the keys compared to storing them in software or system memory.
Like a little vault for the keys.
Exactly. A prime example is an HSM hardware security module.
Okay, what's an HSM?
It's a dedicated external device, like a specialized server or card, purpose-built for crypto operations. Its main job is to generate, manage, and securely store cryptographic keys in a highly protected environment.
So big companies use these for serious security.
Absolutely. Banks, certificate authorities, anyone managing lots of keys or high-volume transactions, they offer really strong protection and can handle complex crypto tasks efficiently, often connecting over the network using TCP/IP.
Got it. Hardware for heavy-duty, high-security crypto. Now, what about the other end of the scale? Tiny devices.
Ah, yes, that's where lightweight cryptography comes in. What's fascinating here is a lot of standard crypto algorithms are just too resource-hungry for really small devices.
Like what kind of devices?
Think RFID tags, tiny sensors, basic IoT, Internet of Things, things with minimal computing power, memory, and battery life.
Right. You can't run AES-256 easily on a tiny sensor chip.
Exactly. So, lightweight crypto focuses on developing new algorithms that are specifically designed to be compact, efficient, and use very little power, but without sacrificing security.
That sounds like a tough balancing act.
It is, but it's crucial for securing the billions of small connected devices that are becoming part of our world. We need crypto that fits their constraints.
Makes sense. Okay, let's go back to block ciphers for a sec. You mentioned AES works on blocks. Are there different ways to use a block cipher?
Yes, absolutely. These are called block cipher modes of operation. The problem with using a block cipher in its basic form, called ECB mode, electronic codebook, is that if you encrypt the same block of plaintext multiple times with the same key, you always get the same ciphertext block.
Which creates patterns an attacker might spot.
Exactly. You might see repeating blocks in the ciphertext, which leaks information about the plaintext. So modes of operation are designed to add randomness and break those patterns.
Like CVC mode. What's that?
Cipher block chaining. Before encrypting a plaintext block, you first XOR it with the previous ciphertext block.
Okay, so each block's encryption depends on the one before it.
Right. And for the very first block, since there's no previous ciphertext, you use a random starting value called an initialization vector. This chaining ensures that even identical plaintext blocks will produce different ciphertext blocks, hiding patterns.
Smart. What about CFB mode?
Cipher feedback is similar in using feedback, but it sort of makes the block cipher behave like a stream cipher. The previously generated ciphertext is fed back into the encryption algorithm to help encrypt the next plaintext block. Also uses an IV.
Also breaks patterns.
Yes, makes cryptanalysis harder due to the feedback loop.
And CTR mode?
Counter mode is different and very popular. Instead of using previous ciphertext, it uses a simple incrementing counter for each block. You encrypt the counter value, combined with the nonce usually, with the key.
And then XOR that result with the plaintext block.
Exactly. The encrypted counter acts like a one-time pad for each block.
Oh.
The big advantage here is that each block's encryption is independent. You don't need the previous block's result.
Which means you can encrypt or decrypt blocks in parallel faster.
Yep. Very efficient, great for high-speed networks or applications where you need to jump to specific parts of the encrypted data.
Okay, modes of operation add randomness to block ciphers. Now let's unpack PKI public key infrastructure. This sounds like a big system.
It is. PKI is the whole framework, the rules, the technologies, the procedures that lets us use public key cryptography and digital signatures reliably on a large scale, like across the internet.
So it's what makes things like secure websites, HTTPS, possible.
Fundamentally, yes. It provides the trust infrastructure. It has several key components working together. Well, you have digital certificates. These are electronic credentials that bind a public key to an identity, a person, a website, a server.
Who issues these certificates?
That's the job of the Certification Authority, or CA. This is a trusted entity like DigiCert, Let's Encrypt, GoDaddy. Their whole business is verifying identities and issuing certificates that vouch for them.
So my browser trusts the CA and the CA trusts the website, so my browser trusts the website.
That's the chain of trust, exactly. There's also often a registration authority, RA, that helps the CA verify applicants, and a validation authority, VA, that browsers can check with to see if a certificate is still valid or if it's been revoked.
And a system to manage all this.
A certificate management system, yeah. Plus the end user, that's us or our browsers, using the certificates.
So walk me through a simple flow. I visit a secure website.
Okay. The website's server sends your browser its digital certificate issued by a CA. Your browser checks if it trusts that CA. It might also check with the CA's VA to ensure the certificate isn't expired or revoked, if everything checks out.
My browser knows it's talking to the real website and can use the public key and the certificate to start a secure connection, like we discussed with SSL/TLS.
Precisely. The certificate provides that initial authentication and allows for the secure exchange of keys.
What about self-signed certificates? I see warnings about those sometimes.
Right. A self-signed certificate is one that an entity creates for itself without involving a trusted CA. Your browser has no way to verify who actually created it, so it throws up a warning.
Okay.
It relies entirely on you already trusting that specific entity directly. Fine for internal testing maybe, but not for public trust.
Gotcha. CA signed for public trust. Now, digital signatures build on this, right?
Directly. A digital signature uses asymmetric crypto to prove authenticity and integrity, like a handwritten signature, but much stronger.
How does it work? If I want to sign something.
You take the data you want to sign, or more commonly the hash of the data, and you use your private key to create the signature value.
Okay, private key creates the signature.
Then, someone who wants to verify your signature uses your public key. If the verification works, it proves two things. One, that the signature could only have been created by your private key, authenticity, it was you. And two, that the data hasn't changed since you signed it, integrity, because the hash would be different.
So it guarantees who sent it and that it wasn't messed with. Very powerful.
Extremely powerful. Essential for contracts, software distribution, secure email.
Which brings us to SSL/TLS, we mentioned this, secure sockets layer and transport layer security. This is the bedrock of secure web browsing.
It is. HTTPS basically means HTTP over TLS or HTTP over SSL.
Yeah.
SSL is the older, now insecure predecessor. It's the protocol that encrypts the communication between your browser and the web server.
And you said it uses a mix of asymmetric and symmetric.
Yes, that hybrid approach. It uses asymmetric crypto, like RSA, using the server certificate public key during the initial handshake phase.
To do what? Verify the server and exchange a key.
Exactly. To authenticate the server using its certificate and to securely agree on a shared symmetric session key.
So they set up a temporary symmetric key using the slow but secure asymmetric method.
And then they switch to that fast symmetric key, like AES, to encrypt all the actual website data, images, etc. for the rest of the session.
Best of both worlds again. Can you quickly walk through that SSL handshake?
They're simplified. One, client, your browser, says hello and lists the TLS versions and Cipher suites, crypto algorithms it supports. Two, server says hello back, chooses a version in Cipher suite, and sends its digital certificate containing its public key. Three, client checks the certificate's validity, trusts the CA, checks revocation. If okay, it generates a secret value, the pre-master secret, encrypts it with the server's public key, and sends it back. Four, now both client and server use that shared pre-master secret to independently calculate the same set of symmetric session keys. Five, they exchange finished messages, now encrypted with the new symmetric keys, to confirm everything worked. Secure connection established.
Wow, a lot happens in that fraction of a second before the padlock icon appears.
A critical cryptographic dance, yes.
Okay, what about PGP? Pretty good privacy, is that similar?
PGP is another system for encrypting and signing data, especially popular for email. It's also a hybrid crypto system, like SSL/TLS.
Combining symmetric and asymmetric again?
Yeah. When you encrypt something with PGP, it first encrypts the actual data using a fast, temporary symmetric key, like AES or CAST-128.
Okay, bulk data encrypted symmetrically.
Then it takes that temporary symmetric key and encrypts it using the recipient's public key, maybe RSA or LDMAL.
Secures the symmetric key using asymmetric crypto.
Exactly. It sends both the symmetrically encrypted data and the asymmetrically encrypted symmetric key to the recipient.
So the recipient uses their private key to decrypt the symmetric key.
And then uses that symmetric key to decrypt the actual message. Again, speed is symmetric for data, security of asymmetric for key exchange. PGP is great for email, file encryption, digital signing.
And PGP uses a different trust model than PKIs, CAs, right? The web of trust.
Right. This is a key difference. Instead of a central CA hierarchy, the WOT is decentralized. Trust is established by users signing each other's public keys.
So I decide whose keys I trust, and I can sign the keys of people I know and verify.
Exactly. And you might also choose to trust keys that are signed by people you trust. It builds a web of trust based on personal connections and endorsements, rather than relying on a third-party authority.
Interesting. More peer-to-peer trust.
It has its pros and cons compared to PKI, but it's the model PGP, OpenPGP, and DOPG primarily use.
Okay, you mentioned email. Are there specific email encryption tools besides PGP?
Sure. SIG-AEM, Secure Multipurpose Internet Mail Extensions, is another big one. It's a standard often built right into email clients like Outlook or Apple Mail, using PKI certificates like the ones from CAs for signing and encrypting.
So more integrated sometimes, especially in businesses.
Often, yes. For Gmail users wanting PGP, there are browser extensions like FlowCrypt. It adds OpenPGP encryption right into the Gmail interface.
It just shows you if an email is signed or encrypted.
Yeah, usually with little icons like a check mark for signed, a lock for encrypted,
Mm.
and it warns you if a signature is invalid or something seems off.
Are there others?
Yeah, tools like rmail, Mailvelope, Virtru, WeBrute. Lots of options out there aiming to make email encryption easier and more accessible.
Good to know. What about protecting data just sitting on my hard drive? Disk encryption.
Yes. Disk encryption protects data at rest. It encrypts everything stored on a disk or volume, so if someone steals your laptop or hard drive, the data is unreadable without the password or key.
It encrypts the whole thing, operating system, files, everything.
Often, yes.
Mm.
Full disk encryption converts all the data into unreadable code. Tools like BitLocker on Windows or File Vault on Mac OS do this. You need a passphrase or key at boot time to unlock the drive.
Provides confidentiality if the device is lost or stolen.
Exactly. A fundamental security layer for physical devices.
Okay, one more big implementation. Blockchain. This uses crypto heavily, right?
Oh, absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, blockchain, or distributed ledger technology, DLT, relies fundamentally on cryptographic hashing and signatures to work.
It's that shared, tamper-proof ledger of transactions.
Right. Transactions are grouped into blocks. Let's look at how a block gets created and added. 1. Someone requests a transaction. 2. The transaction and others gets put into a new block, which is broadcast to the network. 3. Network members, miners, validate the transactions. Often this involves proof of work solving a hard computational puzzle. 4. The first miner to solve the puzzle gets to add the block to the chain. Everyone updates their copy of the ledger. This whole validation adding process is crypto mining.
And what's in a block, cryptographically speaking?
3 key things. The transaction data itself, a unique hash of all the data in that block.
And the hash of the previous block in the chain.
Exactly. That's the crucial link. Each block points back to the previous one via its hash. The very first block, the Genesis block, has a dummy previous hash, like zeros.
So if someone tries to tamper with an old block,
Its hash will change. And because the next block contains the original hash of the tampered block, the link breaks. The chain becomes invalid from that point forward. It makes the ledger incredibly tamper-evident.
and the proof of work makes it hard for attackers to just rewrite the chain with new hashes.
Very hard. They'd have to redo the proof of work for the tampered block, and all subsequent blocks faster than the rest of the network is adding new ones. Computationally infeasible for large networks.
Are all blockchains public?
No. You have public ones like Bitcoin, where anyone can join and see the ledger, and private or permissioned ledgers, like Hyperledger, often used by businesses, where access is controlled and participants might only see relevant parts of the ledger.
Okay, we've seen how crypto protects things. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. How do people try to break it? Let's talk cryptanalysis and attacks.
The flip side of the coin. Cryptanalysis is the art and science of breaking codes, essentially. Studying ciphers, ciphertext, trying to find weaknesses to get back the original plaintext, even without the key.
It's the constant pressure test on cryptographic systems.
Exactly. And attackers might have different levels of information to work with.
What do you mean?
Well, the hardest situation for an attacker is a ciphertext-only attack. They just have the scrambled message, nothing else.
Okay, what's easier?
A known plaintext attack. Here, the attacker has managed to get hold of some plaintext and its corresponding ciphertext. That pair gives them clues about the key or algorithm.
Even better for the attacker.
A chosen plaintext attack. The attacker can actually choose messages, get them encrypted, and see the resulting ciphertext, like probing the system.
And they can adapt based on the results.
That's an adaptive chosen plaintext attack. They choose the next plaintext based on what they learned from the last one. Very powerful.
Is there ciphertext version?
Yes, a chosen ciphertext attack. The attacker can choose ciphertext and somehow get the corresponding plaintext, maybe through a temporarily compromised decryption oracle. This lets them see how the decryption process works.
So the more information and interaction the attacker has, the easier it potentially becomes.
Generally, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, beyond those general approaches, there are specific attack types. One really sneaky category is side-channel attacks.
Sneaky how? They don't attack the math directly.
Exactly. They attack the physical implementation. They look for information leaking out indirectly while the crypto operation is happening.
Like what kind of leakage?
Could be tiny variations in how long an operation takes, timing attack. Could be fluctuations in power consumption, power analysis. Could be electromagnetic radiation emitted by the chip.
Wow. Even the light from LED status indicators.
Believe it or not, yes. Researchers have shown you can sometimes infer data being processed just by analyzing the flickering of nearby LEDs. The attacker records these side effects and analyzes them for patterns that might reveal clues about the secret key.
That's wild. How do you even defend against that?
It's hard. Careful hardware design, adding noise or randomness to timing and power, shielding. It's a complex area.
Okay, what about more direct attacks, like dictionary attacks?
Right. This is common against passwords or weak keys. The attacker pre-computes a huge list, a dictionary, of likely passwords or keys and their corresponding hashes or ciphertexts. Then they just compare the target hash ciphertext against their dictionary.
Faster than trying every single combination.
Much faster if the key password is in the dictionary. The brute force approach of trying every combination is the brute force attack.
The try everything method, guaranteed to work eventually.
If you have enough time and computing power, yes, it's what made DES obsolete. But for modern algorithms with large keys like AES-256, brute force is considered computationally infeasible. We're talking billions of years.
Okay, brute force is tough. What's a birthday attack? Sounds festive.
Not quite. It relates to the birthday paradox, the surprising fact that in a group of just 23 people, there's a better than 50% chance to share a birthday.
Okay. How does that apply to crypto?
It applies mainly to hash functions. Instead of trying to find an input that matches a specific hash output, the birthday attack tries to find any two different inputs that produce the same hash output, a collision. Due to the paradox, finding any collision is much faster than finding a specific match.
And collisions are bad for hashes, breaks integrity.
Exactly. Makes forging signatures possible, for instance.
What about meet in the middle?
That's often used against systems that use multiple layers of encryption, like maybe double DES. Instead of brute forcing the whole thing, you encrypt from the start with all possible keys for the first layer, and decrypt from the end with all keys for the second layer, and look for where the intermediate results match the middle.
It reduces the search space, makes it easier than attacking the layers combined.
Effectively, yes. It significantly weakens multi-layer ciphers if not designed carefully.
And a hash collision attack is just finding that collision the birthday attack looks for.
Pretty much. Finding two different messages, M1 and M2, where hash M1 equals hash M2. Then you can trick someone into signing M1 innocent, but substitute M2 malicious later using the same signature.
Nasty. What's the DUHK attack? Don't use hard-coded keys.
You got it. This affects systems using a specific random number generator, ANSI X9.31RNG, if the underlying pseudo-random number generator, PRNG, uses hard-coded seed keys.
Like, the starting value for randomness is fixed in the code.
Yeah. If an attacker can figure out that hard-coded seed, they can potentially predict the random numbers generated, which might include encryption keys for things like VPNs, a huge security flaw.
Don't hard-code secrets. Okay, ground attack.
Drown targets servers that still support the ancient, broken SSLv2 protocol, or servers that reuse the same private key on a different server that supports SSLv2.
So even if my main site uses modern TLS, if an old server somewhere uses the same key and SSLv2, I'm vulnerable.
Potentially, yes. Drown lets attackers use weaknesses in SSLv2 to break modern TLS connections that use the same key. Shows why getting rid of old protocols is vital.
And WEP weakness. We touched on this with RC4.
Right. Wired equivalent privacy for Wi-Fi. The big problem was its use of RC4 with a tiny 24-bit initialization vector. That 4 gets reused very quickly.
Birthday paradox again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the IV repeats, attackers can collect packets with the same IV and use statistical attacks to figure out the RC4 key relatively easily. WEP is completely broken.
Okay, attacks aren't just on traditional crypto. What about attacks on blockchain?
Good point. Despite its security features, blockchain isn't immune. One type is the Eclipse attack.
What's that?
The attacker tries to isolate a single node from the rest of the network. They surround it with malicious nodes they control, so the victim only sees the attacker's version of the blockchain.
How did they do that? DDoS the node? Flood its connections?
Yeah, techniques like that. Fill its peer list with bad IPs, force a restart, intercept connections. Once isolated, the attacker can feed it false information, maybe enabling double spending against that node.
Tricky. What's a race attack?
That's a simpler double spending attempt. Attacker sends money to a merchant, transaction A. Almost simultaneously, they send the same money back to themselves, transaction B, and broadcast it widely. They hope transaction B gets confirmed by the miners first.
So they get the goods from the merchant, but the money actually went back to them.
If the race works in their favor, yes. Relies on confirmation delays.
And DeFi sandwich attack. Sounds tasty.
It targets decentralized finance, DeFi exchanges, DEXs. An attacker sees a large buy or sell order coming from a victim. They quickly place an order just before the victim's front-running to push the price up if victim is buying or down if selling. Then, after the victim's trade executes at the worst price, the attacker places another order just after to reverse their position and pocket the difference.
They profit by sandwiching the victim's trade and manipulating the price around it.
Exactly, exploiting the transparency and automated nature of DXs.
Finally, the big future worry, quantum computing threats.
Yeah, this is the elephant in the room for long-term cryptography. Quantum computers, if built at scale,
Can break things that are secure now.
critically, yes. Algorithms like Shor's algorithm running on a capable quantum computer could factor large numbers very quickly.
Which breaks RSA. And related problems break Diffie-Hellman and ECC.
Exactly. Most of the asymmetric cryptography we rely on for key exchange and signatures becomes vulnerable.
What about symmetric crypto, like AES?
Quantum computers offer less of a speed up there. Grover's algorithm could effectively have the key strength, for example, making AES-256 roughly as hard to break as AES-128 is classically. So using larger symmetric keys helps, but asymmetric is the bigger immediate concern.
And quantum could enable other attacks too? Better eavesdropping?
Potentially, yes. Quantum-enhanced eavesdropping using sensitive quantum sensors, and even quantum side-channel attacks, exploiting information leakage from quantum computers themselves.
So the race is on to develop quantum-resistant crypto.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Post-quantum cryptography, PQC, is a major area of research right now, looking for new algorithms based on different math problems that even quantum computers can't solve easily.
Given all these attacks, current and future, how do we actually safeguard our secrets? What are the best practices?
It starts with solid key management. This is often where things fail, even with strong algorithms.
Like what? Don't embed keys in code.
Definitely not. That DOHK attack example. Keys should be provided securely to the application or user at runtime, perhaps from a secure store or HSM, not hard-coded.
What else? Monitoring.
Yes. Use intrusion detection systems, IDS, to watch for suspicious key access or exchange patterns.
How should keys be stored if they have to be on disk?
They absolutely must be encrypted themselves, protected by strong passphrases or other keys managed securely. Never store keys in plain text.
And limit how much a single key is used.
Good practice, yes. Rotate keys regularly. Impose limits on the number of operations per key. This reduces the window of opportunity if a key is compromised and limits the amount of data exposed.
Makes sense. Protect the keys as much as the data. What about choosing the right algorithms and strengths?
Crucial. For symmetric algorithms, aim for 256-bit keys, like AES-256, for strong security, especially for sensitive data or long-term protection. And always use them with a mode that provides message authentication, like GCM or CCM, to ensure integrity too, not just confidentiality.
And for asymmetric?
Key sizes need to be much larger. 2048-bit RSA is often considered the minimum baseline now, but 3072-bit or 4096-bit is better for longevity. For ECC, equivalent strengths use smaller keys, like 256-bit or 384-bit.
And hashing.
Use SHA-256 or higher from the SHA-2 family or SHA-3. Avoid MD5 and SHA-1 for security purposes.
And the golden rule, don't invent your own crypto.
Please don't. Unless you're a world-class cryptographer with years of experience and peer review, stick to well-known, vetted, standard algorithms and implementations. It's incredibly easy to get crypto wrong in subtle ways that lead to complete breaks.
Use the standards. Use libraries reviewed by experts.
Absolutely.
Okay, and looking ahead, how do we start preparing for quantum threats?
It's time to start planning now, even though large-scale quantum computers are still some way off. First, investigate and start migrating towards quantum-resistant algorithms, PQC. NIST is standardizing these now.
So start adopting the new standards as they emerge.
Yes. Also, consider using larger symmetric keys, like AES-256, as they offer better resilience against quantum search attacks than smaller keys.
Keep up with key rotation.
Definitely. Limits the amount of data encrypted with any one key that could be vulnerable later to a harvest now, decrypt later attack.
And think about side channel protection even more.
Yes, because quantum techniques might amplify those leakages. And ultimately, we need to develop entirely new quantum-secure infrastructure, VPNs, authentication protocols, everything designed with quantum resistance in mind from the ground up.
It's a big transition ahead.
A necessary one to maintain security in the quantum era. #outro. So, quite a journey today. We've gone from the basics of secret writing right through to the complex algorithms like AES and RSA, the importance of hashing for integrity, and how things like PKI, TLS, and even blockchain put it all into practice.
Yeah, covering symmetric versus asymmetric, the different modes, digital signatures.
And I also dipped into the darker side cryptanalysis, the various attacks from side channels to birthday attacks, and those future worries about quantum computers breaking current standards.
It really shows that cryptography isn't static, is it? It's this constant evolution, this race.
Absolutely. A continuous battle between those building the locks and those trying to pick them.
And as technology hurtles forward, our understanding and our use of these secret arts have to keep pace, which kind of leaves a question for everyone listening, doesn't it? What does this all mean for you? How do you fit into this? Maybe it's just being more aware of security online. Maybe it's choosing better passwords, or maybe it's contributing to building that more secure future.
Every bit of understanding helps.
Definitely. Keep exploring, keep asking questions. The more aware we all are, the better protected our digital world can be. And that wraps up our deep dive into Module 20. Cryptography for the EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker v13.
Hope it was insightful.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We really hope this gave you a clearer, maybe more engaging look into the absolutely critical and fascinating world of cybersecurity and cryptography.